In online multiplayer PvP games, pretty much anything can happen, and you can often run into scenarios where it looks like the game is hopeless, the match is lost. Why continue on? Why continue to put any effort into playing the match? Simply allow your ship to be sunk by the firepower of the Reds and then move on to the next match. Well, today I want to talk about not giving up, because even when things look hopeless in the beginning, sometimes if you just stay alive and live to fight another day, you can end the game with a pretty good showing. I've talked before about how there is sort of an ebb and flow to the battles in this game, and that's something that you need to get a handle on if you want to get good. You see battleships all the time just pushing constantly straight in one straight line. That's either what they do. They push in one straight line, bow in, they stop. When they start getting focused, they try to bow tank, they get melted pretty quickly, or they don't bother to move forward at all. They sit in spawn using only their front two guns to snipe from the back of the map. Neither of these things is good, but it's certainly easier than trying to push in, recognizing that pushing in is going to be impossible and lead to your sinking, and then turn around, reposition, and come back in from a different angle. That's something that you don't often see a lot of people doing, but it's crucial in a battleship like the Schlieffen, which really isn't a battleship, but is more of a battle cruiser. It just doesn't have the armor to take sustained focus fire. HE can melt it down pretty quickly, in spite of the fact it has the Russian damage control parties, which reload very quickly. But armor piercing can chunk this thing to oblivion. There's a bunch of lovely shell catching surfaces all across the armor scheme. The bow and the stern have overmatchable plating by pretty much everything, although the bow does have a very significant and robust icebreaker that's going to come into play a little bit later here. But take a look at what we're doing. We're on an epicenter game. We're right in the center of the ring, where we're surrounded on practically all sides by all enemy ships. This is a recipe for disaster. This is a recipe for our health to be reduced all the way down to zero and for us to go back to port and have to play another game. So we recognize this, perhaps a little bit too late, after having already pushed into the center. And now at this point, when we've lost about a third of our health, just pushing in and gotten really no damage to show for it, we're going to turn around and kite away so that we can reapproach this situation from a different angle. We've already got two of our destroyers in the center. It's not like we have to remain on the center cap ourselves in order to prevent the enemy from taking that. Our teammates are already doing that job, so there's no reason for us to sit here and just be shot at by the enemies. Some people might think that is tanking, but it's not tanking if it's gonna kill you in the first 5 minutes and you're not gonna be around to affect the battle for your team. So we're retreating. We've turned away. We were dark there for a second. We're now spotted, but we keep going dark. So we should be able to avoid any further damage from these guys. Maybe deploy a heal, get a little bit of HP back, and then return. Although with a broadside like that, courtesy of the FDG, we can't not shoot at that. That would just be rude. So we do take the shot, but the Schlieffen's guns, while they are good, dank 420 battleship guns, 420 millimeters that is, they aren't always the most accurate, so we get essentially nothing. 34,000 damage is not an impressive total. And if you look at the team lineup, you'll see we've already lost two cruisers, and we're about to lose a third ship here. Note that not even 5 minutes have elapsed in this game, and we're already off to a pretty poor start in terms of ship count. You can look at this, and you can say to yourself, well, I've been reduced to nearly half health. We're down two ships, the enemy's down zero, and then as soon as we lose another one, we're sort of thinking to ourselves, okay, this game is kind of hopeless, you know? If we're down this significantly on ships to begin with, then how are we ever going to win? And we still have yet to lose a third ship. But don't worry, before the clock hits, I think 6 minutes into the game, we will. There's our old friend, the FDG. He's still giving broadside. He's decided that angling doesn't really matter. We're gonna see whether it actually does. To be fair, he does get a very good hit on us, and Yamato is pulling around the corner. Also going to be able to shoot at our broadside. Wow, we are just making mistake after mistake in this battle. Luckily, we don't pay for that one with our lives, but we are down to 13,000 HP. Can the secondaries finish off the FDG? He's got almost no hit points left. He's still within range. Torpedoes on the Yamato. Yes, the secondaries do it. There's our first kill with Close Quarters Expert, and that is the only ship so far that the enemy team has lost. Yamato has taken a severe amount of damage from those torpedoes. Our secondaries, I think, might have even lit a fire on him because he is burning. Maybe our guns will be reloaded in time, but unlikely. Khabarovsk out there is shooting at us, and, well, I've played the Khabarovsk enough to know that it's not exceptionally easy to hit these things. Sometimes it can be a waste of time to shoot back, so I think we just elect to keep our guns silent and go dark. But note, we have lost 3 ships. Enemy has lost 3 ships now. See how much can change in the span of 60 seconds in this game? This early on into a game, you can look at things and you can be pessimistic, but you should also be realistic, because this is World of Warships Legends, and even when one team looks poised to lose the match early on, well, things can go down south for the enemy team pretty quickly. There we get the Alaska taking another opportunistic shot into his broadside, and for once RNG cooperates with us, and there's our second kill of the game. Now we're ahead on ship count. The enemy has somehow managed to lose 5, and we've lost, well, 4 now, with that Wooster going down. But still, we do have the advantage. Our DD has been able to remain in the center this entire time. I think it's occupied by one of the other red DDs, but the fact that the enemy team hasn't been able to secure it is a good deal of the reason that we're ahead of them on points now. We've sunk more ships than they have, but since they haven't captured any of these rings, they haven't been able to accrue points that way. And the enemy team is sort of concentrated into one sort of area on the map now. We've got the Khabarovsk over there, there's a Yamato behind him, and there's a Gearing lurking around still somewhere in the center. Our DD has smoked up. He's farming either the Yamato or the Kaba. Probably the Yamato, although I can't quite tell. Trying to sneak some shots there around the island. But note, we're on 21,000 hit points now. If we had just full sent it when we were on 13,000 HP, we would have ended the battle in a mediocre way. We would have had like 60,000 damage done, 1 kill, and it wouldn't have been helpful to our team. But we retreated, we lived to fight another day, we came in when the situation was less hot, and now we're going to be able to re-engage the enemies fresh. I think they've forgotten about our existence. Khabarovsk is under some pressure from our teammate there, and he's coming around this other way, maybe to try to get around him, but I think he kind of forgot a Schlieffen would be here. We hit him pretty hard there with the main guns, and the secondaries are doing their work. We are already preemptively launched torpedoes, although they aren't going to hit. Kaba's trying to turn away and avoid these secondaries, but we light a fire on him. It's going to be very difficult for him to completely avoid everything. He had 1 hit point left as we take him down for another, I think that was our second close quarters expert of the game and our 4th kill. Gearing over there on no HP, we just need to tap him with 1 shell, but he goes dark, and there's a Yamato right in front of us. Remember what I said about the bow armor of the Schlieffen. It does have an overmatchable plate, but only right on the top, sort of near the deck layer. The rest of the armor is an icebreaker, and I believe the thickness of the icebreaker is 40 millimeters. Might be wrong on that, but certainly I can tell you it is enough to bounce the shells of the Yamato. They can't overmatch the Schlieffen's icebreaker part of the bow, so when the Yamato shoots right at the waterline, well, he gets 1 shell that pens the overmatchable part of the bow for 5k, but the rest just shatter harmlessly, and so we're able to push straight into him with only 12,000 HP. This is definitely an end-game maneuver. We don't have a lot of HP to engage in a sustained brawl, and initially I was thinking maybe go for the ram, but no. Why not turn, sort of side-scrape the Yamato's paint there, and continue to float to see if we can't get our main guns to finish him off, or even our secondaries. Our destroyer teammate, who thus far has done a fantastic job managing to hold the center and prevent the enemy team from taking it, and is still on full health. He's shooting away at the Yamato with his main guns, but our main guns are a little bit more efficient, and we're able to take the Yamato down for our 4th kill. So that just leaves the Gearing on absolutely no HP. One single main gun reloaded, and that one little shell right into the Gearing's hull for the Kraken Unleashed. So there we see an example of a game where we didn't do very well at all in the start. In fact, we played very poorly, but we turned it around and we got a Kraken. So the moral of the story here is never give up. And without our Kraken, maybe our team wouldn't have won. Obviously, we weren't top of the leaderboard, but we did contribute. And without us, they might have lost. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.